Well, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us today. So today it's going to be Kelly and I speaking. My name is Katie Lyons. So I have been in and around industry since 2000. And before that, I was a clinical pharmacist. I taught a little bit and so had a variety of things. So in industry, I was out in the field. I was helping investigators develop investigator-initiated trials, helping figure out, look at sites for the pharmaceutical company to figure out if a site was appropriate to be a phase 3 site for us or a phase 4 site for us. Then I worked in-house, and in-house I helped with medical strategy, led global publication plans, helped to figure out kind of what we needed strategically and what questions we needed to ask and how we plan in the future that way in the medical aspect. And then I turned and began working in regulatory. And in regulatory, what you're looking at is, from the rules and regulation aspects, really what's going on and why are we limited by the facts of what we're limited in when we're looking at phase 3 research and phase 4 research is particularly what I did. So if you look at the regulatory realm, you have the regulatory requirements all the way through the spectrum, and I looked more at the end of commercialization, specifically regulations around that. Worked closely with the commercial colleagues in the company. So with that, that's the introduction on me. I'm going to let Kelly introduce herself, and she's going to start, and then we're going to have the both of us and get ready because we're going to ask lots of questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Hogan. I'm a pharmacist, came from the Midwest, graduated from St. Louis College of Pharmacy. So as I spoke to my mother today, they're expecting an ice storm, and I'm extremely excited to be with you here in San Diego. So it's a marked improvement of where I came from. My background is that I started in an AIDS clinical trials unit, and then I went to make rounds with a critical care trauma surgery team. So my academic career started pretty early. I joined when I was 18, and then I started in the pharmaceutical industry about the same time Katie did, around 1999, 2000. But my whole spectrum of career has been around phase 3 clinical trial work. So Katie and I are going to sort of divide our lectures today to our strengths, so you get the breadth of 26 years of experience, although we don't look that old, I am certain. So for the most part, we hope that you enjoy our lectures and that you get all your questions answered. So thanks for letting us come and talk to you today. So part of our training as industry people is public speaking. So I worked for 4 years at Pharmacia and was purchased by Pfizer, so 4 more years at Pfizer. And every year I worked at Pharmacia and Pfizer, we had to do a public speaking workshop. So 8 years of public speaking workshops, just to be able to go and present to United, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and the like, so you don't sound like a blubbering idiot when you stand up in front of people. So when you watch all this fun technology, it's nothing. Could I have my first slide, please? Oh, I would like the clicker.
I will do it for you, but you may have the clicker.
Okay, so our main objective here today is to give you really a flavor for phase 3 clinical trials. What a pharmaceutical company goes through from the beginning, because I think you have had many lectures on phase 1, maybe preclinical in the past, so you're well aware of the statistics that maybe one molecule in 10,000 makes it from an actual chemical compound to a successful drug that you might recognize the name of. I always pick on Pfizer drugs because they're billion-dollar products, so I'll say Lipitor because I have high cholesterol. Thank you very much. Still bitter about that. But mostly interrupt us as we go, because there isn't too much that we haven't been through between the two of us. So if I don't know, maybe Katie has, and because of the nature of the pharmaceutical industry, you can even stay at the same company and work for 3 different companies. So we've transitioned through many. So with no further ado, why do we do pharmaceutical research in the first place? Do you have any idea? I mean, is it just to make money? I know I have some pharmacists and future physicians in the room, so hopefully it is to work on chronic diseases that we have, correct? So if you are in the United States, we spend trillions of dollars on healthcare, and I'm sure that there are economics to be gained and lost through all of the aspects of healthcare. But just speaking for a pharmaceutical company, if you look at Sony, they spent what, maybe $11 million on research and development. I think Apple spent $17 million, and you go all the way to Microsoft. until you get to a software company that made it to $9 billion in last year for R&D. You have any idea what the pharmaceutical industry spends maybe just to get one drug to market? You should know? Okay, so if you should know, I'm going to ask for a volunteer or pick on you, whichever you prefer. Anybody? Volunteer?
1.5 billion?
That's what, yeah. So the latest figures I have is 1.7 billion from 2009. So it's probably up to $2 billion now. That's a lot of money. I could take a portion of that and be quite happy. So, so what are the benefits of doing this research inside the United States, outside the United States? Well, if you think about the world, I like to go to Brazil every year because I have friends there. And they have something wonderful that we don't have, which is the rainforest. So if you were a pharmacist and you remember salicylic acid, you remember that comes from willow bark, right? And if you are in the chemotherapy realm of life, you will remember Taxol, which is a chemo drug for many different uses. I see nods in the back, thank you. You'll know that comes from yew tree bark and needles. So if we just stay inside the United States and we don't look at the ocean and the desert, and where would we be without Botox for snake venom? I mean, come on, we're in Orange County, for goodness sake. So we have a lot to be gained from doing research and looking for ways to develop new drugs outside the United States. But a staggering statistic that you might have heard before too is that predominantly the money and the funding and the research all comes from here. Majorly dominated in the United States by trillions and trillions of dollars compared to the outside the United States. So, oh, I see, you have a click there. So why medical research? Well, if we spend billions of dollars on heart disease, stroke, have you guys recently heard that the US FDA was generous enough to donate $500 million for Alzheimer's because the baby boomers are getting older? It is going to probably be a pandemic. And I laugh because $500 million is going to get us maybe, what you think, 3 trials? So there's a lot of work to be done because we need biomarkers and we need things to improve that disease state on top of hypertension, diabetes, and the things that we can prevent and take care of right now. So when you're talking about heart disease, I think 2009 we spent like $145 million. That's a lot of money. So economically we have a burden. Impact of disease, I think that 7 in 10 deaths are due to chronic diseases right now in the United States. About 25% of people have some sort of life-limiting impact in their daily life just from a disease. So you guys are young, and I'm still young. And by golly, I have been playing tennis and my foot hurts and I twisted my ankle and I had a thing on my hip, and I'm still young and I'm still out there, but diseases will progress, right? And you guys are going to get older too someday. So I would hope that some of you would go into research so that when I have dementia, you can cure me. So I will let Katie talk to you about how we take it from a chemical compound all the way through.
So really when we're looking at this and we're looking at the commercialization kind of process, historically when we looked at developing a product, it was a very linear approach. And what you did the first phase, and then you moved to the next phase, and then you moved to the next phase, and everything was very kind of neat. Now it's moved in more of kind of a parallel structure, and things are going at the same time when they can. And so you see different things kind of move. Now, some of the things that you do have are you're still going to have a certain time for the end of phase 2 trial, which is the EOP2. You're going to have the commit to file, and you're going to have the commit to launch. Those are kind of dead points kind of in there, and we'll talk a little bit about that and how everything evolves. But when we're looking at the commercialization process as a whole, the key thing to keep in mind is it's not done in isolation. And one of the things that is critical that is going on inside a pharmaceutical company or any other company is that you can't have the silos. Because if you're looking at anything that you're doing and you're doing it by yourself, the thought process of what you're going to do with multiple minds in the room is you're going to come up with a much better result, right? And so you need all of those people in there, and you need, as you're moving your compound from phase 1 to phase 2 and phase 2 to phase 3, you really need to be looking at all the time, where is this product going to work? Are we going to get our bang for our buck? Is it worth the next hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're going to put in the next phase of research, are we going to get that money back out? Are we going to be able to market this? Is it really going to be taking patient care forward? And we have to look at the majority of drugs that are out there are Me Too drugs. They're not unique. So you have to keep that in mind too, and really what's worth it and how are we going to move forward. So Kelly and I are talking about this latter part today.